welcome to Build It Basement.
Hey, Kermit and Haley here. She came down this morning, knew I was doing a video. She wanted to show off what she got at a fair last night. So, what do you got there, Haley?
A rainbow shark.
Rainbow shark. You want to take it apart and fix it? There's nothing wrong with it, huh?
No.
No? We can put little motors in the mouth. No? Alright. What else did you get?
A rainbow penguin.
Rainbow penguin? You want to take him apart? Put little motors in his wings?
No.
Alright. What else you get?
This.
What is it? A squirrel?
No.
What is it?
I don't know.
It's purple.
Yeah.
It's purple. We can put a motor in the tail, make it...
His name is Jerry.
Oh, that's nice. Put a little motor in his tail, make that wag.
The one that I got first, it had a hole in it. And then the next one, it also had a hole in it. Now, this one doesn't have a hole in it.
Alright, sounds like something you got at a fair. Alright, what's the last thing you got? Whoa.
This big crayon.
Oh my gosh. Do you want to put lights inside of it? Make it glow? Huh?
No.
No? You're no fun. We gotta do a little project, right?
Crayon.
Alright. Alright, so Haley's gonna leave us here. We're going to go into what we're doing today. Love you. Bye. Alright, so today we're going to be working on our VORON 2.4 and specifically the front idlers. I've already put the heat sets in those, so we're going to work on the front idler assembly. We're also going to be working on the, let's see here. Get things situated here. Working on this stack here of bearings and shims. Try to go in depth. I do like the adjust this a little bit. I do like the visual they give here, much better than the one they did on the other page. They actually show multiple shims. They have it kind of a slightly exploded view, which is nice. So I wish they would have done that on the other one. Not a huge deal, but that is nice to see. This is going to be kind of complicated, not overly so, but kind of complicated. So we'll probably run through this. If you have questions, if you have anything else that you want to know about it, if I skip anything and you want to see it more in-depthly, just let me know. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. We do videos, we do kid stuff, we do a bunch of stuff just starting out, so plan on filling up the channel with things as we go. So it's going to take some time to do that, but here we go. So the first thing, you gotta put your heat inserts into these two pieces. These two are accent pieces. This is the finished piece. And this is that piece right there. Let me see if I have that width. And then we have a small stack right here. So in that stack, you have your F695 bearing and a couple of M5 shims. And I'm gonna sit down and do this. Just find it way easier if I'm sitting. I'm already handicapped by trying to get good views here. So positioning of the parts, basically, what you're going to wind up looking at is looking for these teeth. They're grooves, but we'll call them teeth. That's for a belt. Last video, I was missing this piece right here. I printed that on my Ender 5. Nice piece, came out good. I do not have the same bed that the person that printed my parts has, so my pieces do not have that fancy texture. Well, it makes it easier for me to tell which ones I did. So those are going to wind up together like that. Okay, So the way that I found best to do this is to do it with the clunky side, the thicker side down. It just makes it easier based on assembly. So we got that down. We're going to need 2 bearings. We're going to need 2 M5 washers. And we're also going to need a M5 by 40 screw. If I can only get the bag open here. Yeah, stand by while you watch me try to open a bag. Alright, so 2 of these guys. Brass shims, spacers, washers. I don't think you're supposed to call them washers though, because washers are cheap pieces of stamped metal, and these are supposedly better than that. And then our M5 by 40, gotta grab that. M5 by 40. Then we're also going to need a M5 hex nut. And one of the 2 items, one of these 2, actually the one we're building right now, also requires a washer, but the other one does not. So I don't know what that's about. I could be completely wrong, and they both require washers, but I did attempt to try to put a washer on the first one I built, just thinking maybe they forgot to show the washer, and I could not get it to fit on there because the hole wasn't big enough, so I'm assuming it does not need the washer. I do not know why. Maybe we'll find out. So that and the nut. One last thing here with the nut. Okay. So, there's all our parts. Put the assembled one aside. So, the semi-tricky part of this whole thing is everything goes inside. So, you basically are aligning your bearings and your spacers on the inside of 3 parts. You have your inner, and then you have your slide that's on the outside of it, and the inner is made up of 2 separate parts. Again, this is the best way that I found to do it, and maybe you have a better suggestion, and I'm more than willing to listen. So I built it in reverse, and I used this to kind of build it and then slide it off. Although it doesn't slide off all that easily. So like that. Line it up with that. Pull this out. The top spacer usually comes with it. Yep. So you realign that real quick. Okay. And then you're going to put your top piece on. I found these have notches, by the way. So you have like an outie and an innie on here. So it helps you align the piece. So if you put that on first, line up the notch, line up the other notch, it will kind of hold there. Once you have that, you can pick up the stack, try to hold it at 90 degrees so you don't lose it. I'm going to twist it slightly here so I can see what I'm doing. And then what you want to look at is on this piece right here, you have a beveled edge and a flat edge. So this being your flat edge and that being your beveled edge. So your beveled edge is going to go towards the section that has the teeth for the belt. So your beveled edge is going to go in this direction because this is where the teeth are. So this part's going to go right in here and the bevel towards here. So that's what we're going to do. Okay. So now we're going to line that with our previously inserted parts. And if all goes well, doesn't feel like it is. No. Maybe we're gonna get lucky here. Oh, everything's just a little tight. Oh, I can see our screw head, our threaded portion. And looks like we're gonna make it. Oh. Ah, snap. This is the side that is supposed to get the washer, I think. So this is shown like this. Oh no, it's the other piece that gets the washer. Okay. Sorry about that. Alright, so this is gonna go up. This is gonna go in like this. Like that. And we'll see if we can get that lined up. Almost there. There we go. So I'm going to tighten that up pretty good, and then I'm going to loosen it back up. It's supposed to move semi-freely. So give me a second here. There we go. All right. We have those two built. One for each side. The only last thing is the M3 by 40 and the M3 washers. So let's grab that. M3 by 40 and M3 washers. M3 by 40. It's those guys. And one more washer. All right, we'll bring that over. All right. So these are going to get inserted on the VORON symbol side of the component. So I'm going to go ahead and washer that. And then that's going to go like that. And eventually that's going to help us tension everything together. So there we go. This one's a little tight. All right. So no need to over tighten that. It's where it needs to be. We're good there. And we'll leave out these spacers, and I'm sure we're gonna need more bearings. So we'll move on to next step. Okay. So now we have those built. We're working with this AB bearing stack. I have not built one of these yet, so I'm doing this 100% live. So we got the M5 shims. We already have those out. So we need some F695 bearings. We need four. We need 4 for the first stack, and it looks like 2 for the second. So we'll get those. And we need a M5 by 30. 2 of those. Oh, M5 by 40, M5 by 30 here. 2 of those. And I think that will do us. Alright, so we got our 2 screws. We have shims. And we have some bearings. We might need more bearings, so we're gonna have to grab some more of them. I think that's what we need. I think that's everything. All right. So according to this, we're going to be working with the screw facing upwards. And the first thing to go on that screw is going to be a shim. So, shim number 1. And then bearing with the flange facing downwards. And then bearing with the flange facing upwards, so we can make ourselves a little groove there for, I'm assuming, a belt. Note, I am soaking my bearings in a lubricant. Some, what am I using here? I'm using, a silicone type base lubricant. I've had these soaking for a couple days. Just a little added security. Parts that are going to be under wear, I don't necessarily trust that they have a decent amount of lubrication in them, and I don't know how much is actually going to get into them the way I'm doing it. But I figured letting them soak can't hurt. And any plastic parts or anything like that shouldn't be affected by the silicone lubricator. Alright, so clean those off a little bit. And then let's see here, we need 2 more shims. And then bearing with flange facing down. Bearing with flange facing up. And then another shim. So that's what we're left with. I'll put that right where we can keep an eye on it. Alright, the other portion of this looks like an M530, a little bit simpler, just a single shim on each side of a bearing to make a little pathway there. So that looks a little easier to do. So we got our screw, a single shim, and bearing with a flange facing downwards. A bearing with the flange facing upwards, and another shim. There we go. So according to the manual, that's what we need. Find it interesting that we need 2 of either one, but maybe there are separate purposes for each of those. So, all right, where are we at now? We are at the B drive module. B drive module. Okay, so these are our ABS parts of the B drive modules. Again, I was missing one. Let me see here. Which one was I missing? Look for the one with the text right there. All right. So I was missing this one. So this was printed on my Ender 5. I did a short video on my Cura settings and how I do my prints on my Ender 5. So if you are interested in that, if you're looking to build a Voron and do want to print your parts all from scratch, I have a video on how I print with my Ender 5, and I get some pretty decent prints, honestly. Probably could have printed all my parts, but nonetheless, I bought mine. So they're showing us here with, let's see how this is going. They're using, they're using the part that does not have a stick up. So those are going to go over there. But they're using, which side of this are they using? They're using the one with the out or the in. So it's hard to see. How else can I tell? Well, looks like that part, and then this is going on top of that. Like that. Yeah, that looks about right. All right. So let's see. It's easier to build these upside down. Feed the M3 and M5 bolts through the top, flip it over, and start building in bearing stacks. Okay. Get to this. All right. So we grab some M330s, and then we have our stacks already. So M330s. All right. So we need 2, 3 of those. And based on the picture, we got one going through here. That hole. We got one going through here. That hole. And then we have one going through right here. So that is what we have. And then we have our first stack, which is going to have to come off of the screw. So we built it on there. Now let's do the big one first here, I guess. Oh, why not, right? Let's see the easiest way I could do this. Let's do this. Let's put it on. It's the same on both ends, so we could just do this. And then, let's see. This could be difficult. Ah, all right. We got some of it. All right, we're gonna put that back on. Put that one back on, and we'll put that one back on. So let me take a look, see if that looks right. We have our double, 2 bearings, single. All right. That was not very fun. All right, so now we have our single shim on each end and then double bearing in the middle. Put that one on. And on this one, it's going to build it. Ah, that's no fun. Look at that. All right, so screw. Shim. Everybody probably knew that was going to happen, right? All right, that, and then that, and then that. All right, let's see if we can hold it this time. There we go. All right, and on this one, put that through. And we're going to go shim, bearing, bearing, and did I lose a shim? I did have a shim on both sides, didn't it? Let's see, shim, 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 shim. All right, we'll have to look to see if I did this correctly. All right, on that one we have, let's see, our shim, double bearing, double shim. Yep, double bearing, shim, and then shim, double bearing, shim. All right, so let's set that down like that. All right, back to the screen here. So now that we have all that, it looks like we're going to be putting the top check. Is that the same one? That's the second one. Okay, so it looks like I'm going to put the top section on this one first. Something like this. Actually, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this up, spin it around, and whoops, it's backwards. That would explain why the screw holes weren't where I needed them. So we got that one aligned, those aligned. I'll lose those stacks. And then let's see, we got 1, 2, 3. Okay, so our smaller M3s are all through, and these. Go with that. And there we go with that. Ooh. Alright. Some nice free spinning bearings there. I don't see anything about nutting the back of these. They're definitely not cutting their own threads. They're too loose to do that. So we'll put that aside. Seems to me we'll have to put something on the back of these, or there's something attaching to that. I just don't know what it is yet. So that's that guy right there. And aside with our other parts. So at this point we have our 2 adjusters and our single. And now we got our next one. So on this one, it looks like we're going to be building the same bearing stacks, but this is just slightly different. So again, we're going to need those bearings, the shims, so I'll grab some more bearings here. And what else do we need? We need a M3 by 30, which we'll get. And I think, oh yeah, and then we need the actual parts. What were those? Those are M5 by 30. So M5, 2 M5 by 30s and 3 M3 by 30s. 2 of these and 3 by 30 or by 40? By 30. And 3 by 30, 3 of those. Okay. And let's see here, we have that. All right. Take these bearings. That's 2. 3 more, 5, so even more. 6. All right. So again, I soaked these in a little bit of a silicone oil, something that's not going to hurt any of the plastic pieces. These bearings, they're sealed, or at least they look sealed. So I don't know how much actually got in there, but a little extra measure can't hurt, as far as I know. So this is the new stacks. All right, so best bet here, first of all, is to figure out which one we want. So we want the one, we want this, let's see here, we want this one. So the difference between this one, that one, other than they are mirrored, is this one has indent, whereas this one has an outie there. So we want the one with the indent, as far as I can tell. Yeah, that looks right. All right, so our M5s are going to go through like this. Doing a little bit smarter this time based on my last side. And on this guy, he's getting a shorty. He's getting a single spacer. He is getting a flange side down bearing, flange side up bearing, and then another spacer. All right, and on the other side, we need a total of 4 spacers. So we are going to start with a single spacer, then a flange side down, flange side up. This is the same as what we did on the first one. Normally I don't like to duplicate things, but this part is different as a whole. And then flange side down on the bearing, flange side up on the bearing, creating those grooves, and that goes on like that. Now we're going to attempt to grab those and put our M3s. So the first one is going to go through the hole in between the two. That puts it right there. That would be the one in between the two. And then the other two are the ones kind of directly across from the first 3 screws. So 1, trying to hold all this at the same time, and then 2. All right. So I believe, based on the drawing, that's exactly what we need. There's a note here about the chain mount. This part will not stay in place unless the cable chain mount is attached. You may wish to add this part now or skip this step until you're ready to add the cable chains. Why won't it stay, I guess is my question. What's not going to hold it in? Oh, I see what's going to happen. Okay. It can fall out laterally. So vertically it's going to be locked in place by these 2 pieces, but basically it's going to tip right out. So we'll leave those set aside. We're not going to put those in. We'll heed the warning and leave them out for now. So that's going to go like that. And then we'll tighten these up a little bit. And based on design and what I'm seeing here, it looks like these should just be peeking off flush with the secondary piece of plastic on the far end, and they still spin freely like they should. So that's the second one. So basically we have 2 parts, almost mirrored, bearing high, bearing low, guides on the other side. So basically, if we held them like this, they are the same-ish, with the exception of this part right here on that one. That's what makes this the second one, and that, where is that? This is the, okay, yes, that's the cable guide section. So that's where that's going to wind up going once we get to that point. And just as I said, it would fall out. So a good tip there. I'm happy to see a good tip in there. Doesn't seem to be a lot of them, so good to see it. All right, so we're back to here, and AB drive stepper, apply thread lock compound. All right, so we need G2 pulleys, 20-tooth G2 pulleys for that. 20-tooth G2 pulleys. And I assume we need 2 of them. That would be right here. 20-tooth G2 pulleys. And get a neodymium magnet over here so we can not lose any parts. Hey, Hilly. Okay, so we got that. And we need our motor. What you doing? Nothing? You want to say hello? What are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? What are we doing today?
Going to a water park.
Oh boy, that sounds like fun, huh? Alright, so back to this. Alright, so we got our motor. I mentioned it before in a different video, but I'll mention it again in case you haven't seen that one. These come wired directly from the FORMBOT kit. Not preferred, but it is what it is. We can work with that. We may need to extend these. I'm not sure yet. I haven't got to that point. If we do, fine. If we don't, great. Wiring on these two, just so everybody knows, is not silicone. So it's not silicone wire. It's just feels like a vinyl, plasticky type of wire. The gauge looks fine enough. The connector on there looks like it's installed well. So other than the length of the wire and possibly, to maybe a slightly lesser extent, the sheathing on the wire seems decent. Alright, so back to this. Alright. Apply thread lock compound. Make sure to apply thread lock compound to pulley grub screws. Alright, so we'll back to that. So for larger screws, I like to use a stick. It allows me to basically just run the screw through it, one side, maybe the other. Real easy. But for these smaller grub screws, I use a liquid. I cannot find the lightweight stuff, so I got the medium blue. Blue is a lot easier to find. Do not use the red. If you use the red, you're never going to get it back apart. Well, I won't say never, but you're probably going to strip a lot of things out trying to get them back apart. So I'm going to put a dollop of compound in each of these. That. Wipe off my finger. And this is going flange side down. And then almost lost one. We're going to mount this so, put this so it's top center. Mount this in like this. And grab my hex key. Put the grub on it. And a little bit of luck, I guess. Get that lined up. And where are we here? Perfect, there we go. I got that one, and then I got a secondary. I already put thread locker in these holes, so the secondary grub screw probably isn't going to do much. I guess it holds it from being pulled off a little bit, but it's definitely not going to stop it from spinning. So yeah, put that over there. Alright, so we have our motor. Direction wise, I can't really see what the best angle is to put this in. That doesn't really show much for that. And I'll assume, based on the drawing to the right, that we're going to face the wiring. I'm going to face it towards you, so I'm doing it kind of opposite here. And I do notice that the VORON symbol in the drawing, that guy right there, is facing towards the photo. So I'm going to face that towards me. So VORON towards me. That's how this is getting mounted in. Oh, and I see what's going on here. Yeah. So these M3 screws are going to be our motor mounts. Got it. Cool. Alright, tighten those up. Loosen that one a little bit. There we go. And number 3. Alright. I did do a short video on this Dremel, just a little review, so if you're interested in that, check it out. This is really kind of a great tool if you're doing little builds and stuff. Saves you some time. It has a pretty decent clutch on it as well, and it's basically push to activate, so that's nice. So that's that guy. Based on that drawing. And now we have to do the other. So we're going to need another motor. That's exciting. We've gotten to our final motor with the exception of our extruder drive. And this one looks like it's going to mount the same way. We'll put the pulley on it the same way. And then there's some heat certs put in. So let's get into that. Again, going to put my thread locker in these holes in advance. Cover on that. And slide that on. Actually, move that so our flat spot is at the top. Makes it easy to find. Magnet trick again. Keep all of our parts together. And since we know that our groove is on the top, we basically just need to line up our hole for our grub screw on the top. Get it started. And then get the end of it right where we want it. Perfect. Alright, there we go. Give it a twist, grab our other grub screw, put aside our magnet. And there we go. So again with this, I'm going to face my wiring behind me. And on this one, it looks like we're building it. We're building it so the 2 screws are facing towards us and a single screw away. And that's probably my best way of knowing how we're doing this. So motor this way, bearings are facing towards you, the 2 screws in the VORON symbol are facing towards me, and we'll see if we're right here. Oh. Perfect. So there's that. All right, we need to do some nuts insert, some heat nut insert. Okay, so I'm gonna get my soldering iron started up here at 200 degrees. I gotta switch out my tip to my nut insert tip. So do that real quick. Time is of the essence when you're change out your tip on your soldering iron. You already turned it on, right? So let's see here. We're gonna need 2 heat inserts. And I did a video on these as well on how to put these in, so you can go check that out. I'm gonna do it here as well, but the one I did about it specifically is probably a little bit more in depth. So let's go back to that. So part. One thing I will say is on these from the FORMBOT kit, and in most of these actually, there's a pattern on the top section of them and a bevel on the bottom. So the bevel then is going to go down into the part, and they kind of do that so that it will hold itself in there like that. So again, I'm going to take the second one, I'm going to do the same thing, and that matches up what we have there on the center picture for the heat set inserts. Soldering iron is heated up. Okay. So what I usually do is about 10 to 15, maybe even 20% lower than what your print temperature is with the plastic you're using. So specifically this ABS, I'm using 200 degrees Celsius on the iron. So you just want it, you don't want it to melt quickly, you want it to melt slowly. If you melt too quickly, it liquefies too much, you're not going to get a good connection between your part and the cert. So kind of as vertical as you can go. You don't want to have a lot of angle on these because obviously you're threading into them, and then you want to do them so they're just below the surface. You can come back and give it a little bit more. There we go. This one. Kind of like watching paint dry. Apologize for that. There we go. So that's those two. That brings us up to the third. It looks like we are grabbing a part. So I believe it is one of these two guys. We'll see which one it looks like it could be. And I think it's this one. So now they're showing, how are they showing it? They're showing this like that for you. And this is going on, how is this going on? Like this. Doesn't look right. Okay. So what's happening is this part is actually covering up the bottom of this. It's not going into it. It's just covering up the bottom of it like that. And then we're using some M3x12s to put that on. Let's see, M3x12s. 3 by 16. Sorry, it. 3 by 12s. Where are the other 3 by 12s? Here we go. And we need 2 of those. So those are going to go in right where we just put those certs. This is the blue that I decided to use instead of the red. I like blue and black better. I'm a cool guy, not a hot guy. So, cool colors, right? Alright, so back down to that, and looks like we're on the next step. So, looks like when we do our next video, we're going to be working on the gantry. That is going to be a lot. So, said it in the beginning, say it again. If you like what I'm doing, go ahead and subscribe. If you have any comments, leave them below. If you have any questions, leave those below. If you have any suggestions, leave those below. Hopefully you do subscribe and you follow in with my FORMBOT VORON 2.4 kit, and you comment, and we grow this. Just been on here now for a week or so, almost 2 weeks, I guess, maybe. So enjoying it. Hopefully you are as well, and I will see you next time.